Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we engineer the perfect shortcut to deep knowledge. Today, we have a very specialized mission. It's tailored precisely for you, the strategic investor. We're on the hunt for truly asymmetrical R&D talent, the kind of leverage that, completely breaks traditional hiring models, traditional budgeting.
Yeah, we're not talking about just optimizing a team by 10 or 15%. It's a deep dive into an entirely new operational paradigm. And our source material is, well, it's a mountain of it. We've got architectural schematics, highly technical simulation catalogs, even operational manuals for special forces.
And specific financial doctrines. All of it, and this is the key, generated by a single individual.
That individual is Gerard King, a PQ architect.
And when you look at his published work, the focus is just laser sharp on massive, rapid financial return. His core thesis is laid right out in a document called Quantifying $30M Liquidity via Post-Quantum Epistemics.
Right, and the operational target couldn't be clearer. It just says FVP is accelerating the $30 emitter target. There's no ambiguity there.
So for the investor listening right now, the central question of this whole deep dive is pretty simple. How does one person become a sustainable, high-velocity R&D engine?
An engine that generates the complexity and sheer volume of output that would normally require a multi-million-dollar annual budget.
We're positioning Gerard King as what the source material calls a Tier-0 Axiom, one-person R&D engine.
And the value proposition, the immediate takeaway for you, is about time. You're essentially buying compressed R&D.
We're looking at the scope and the velocity you'd expect from a 10 to 20 person engineering team?
At least. And that's all delivered independently. It just fundamentally collapses the time to market for these incredibly complex, highly specialized solutions.
Solutions aimed at the most demanding clients you can imagine. We're talking military, G7, NATO, and private banks.
So to really understand the return on investment here, we have to quantify the scale right away. We have to measure his output against the organizational burn rate it completely replaces.
Okay, let's unpack this financial leverage. The entire thesis rests on raw output velocity and the sources. They give us this one staggering metric that just anchors the whole conversation.
The number is, it's almost unbelievable when you first see it. 10.3D2 custom GPTs.
Built solo.
And we have to pause here. This is explicitly pre-GDT store.
Right.
So this isn't just someone tinkering with the OpenAI API after the public launch.
Right.
To build 2,322 highly customized intelligent agents. It implies he developed an automated, almost industrial scale pipeline for domain capture and model deployment.
Exactly. It's not about being a good coder. This isn't one person who's just, really fast at typing.
No.
This shows a system architect who has built the tools to build the tools. He's created a meta process.
A meta process that just compresses the time it takes to do what? To ingest huge amounts of specialized data, define the cognitive boundaries of an agent, and then deploy it.
Think of it like high frequency domain capture. He's capturing specialized knowledge and instantly, almost productizing it into an actionable agent thousands of times over.
And that capacity for rapid, diverse deployment is absolutely critical for solving these very niche, very specialized problems, the kind that, a traditional enterprise spends 6 months just scoping and integrating.
Meanwhile, he's already built and deployed dozens of solutions. He uses this meta process to achieve just incredible fluency across different data models. It doesn't matter if he's building an AI for financial compliance like FinTrack or one for tactical cyber ops for CANSOFCOM.
And the complexity goes way beyond just the specialized AI. The sources confirm this velocity is maintained across full stack engineering systems. We see these little technical notes in the documents like GK developer, ECS, 99.9% logicsmith.
Okay, ECS. For our audience, let's break that down. Entity component system.
Right. It's a really powerful architectural pattern. So instead of building a big monolithic system, which is the norm in a lot of corporate stacks, where a failure in one little part can cascade and bring down the whole thing.
Which we've all seen happen.
Oh, constantly. ECS breaks the system down into these small, highly efficient, independent components, which is the data in systems, which is the logic that acts on that data.
So, okay, if a traditional system is like a beautiful but very fragile clay sculpture where one crack can ruin the whole thing.
That's a great analogy.
Then an ECS is more like a complex structure built entirely out of perfect Lego bricks.
Exactly. If you need to change a component, you just swap out one more. You don't have to remake the entire sculpture.
And that modularity must be why he can so confidently aim for a target of 0 runtime errors and achieve this kind of solo output.
It's designed for verifiable reliability and high-speed iteration. The documentation points to dozens of full-stack systems built solo. These range from incredibly detailed adversary emulation platforms to full enterprise PowerShell automation suites.
And specific AI defense tools. So he's operating at multiple levels at once. He's at the theoretical architecture level, the high-volume rapid deployment level, and the mission-critical product delivery level, all at the same time.
Simultaneously.
And this is the moment. This is where we have to quantify the investment thesis for you. This level of comprehensive output, it covers quantum security architecture, deep learning models, full spectrum adversarial simulation, enterprise-grade automation.
That is the work of a highly specialized, multidisciplinary team. Full stop.
Let's actually build that team. What would that look like in a normal company?
Okay, conservatively, to replicate this scope and this velocity in a traditional corporate or, say, governmental setting, you would need, all right, a handful of elite data scientists specializing in post-quantum cryptography and LLMs.
That's already expensive.
Very. Then you'd need several full-stack DevOps engineers focusing specifically on WASM execution and deployment. Add in a few highly credentialed cyber threat intelligence analysts, and of course, systems architects to hold it all together.
You're easily at a team of 10 to 20 highly paid professionals.
Easily. And when you factor in the market rates for that kind of expertise, especially in fields like post-quantum crypto or nation-state cyber defense.
Plus benefits, real estate, HR overhead, management sync costs, the endless meetings.
The annual expenditure to sustain that level of output flies past $2 million. It's somewhere in the $2 million to $4 million per year range.
And that is the baseline burn rate that this one individual, Gerard King, completely eliminates.
The immediate financial leverage is just breathtaking. You're not just cutting costs, you're removing catastrophic overhead and organizational latency.
So the investment isn't just in a product or a person, it's an investment in compressed R&D.
His velocity accelerates time to market for these specialized solutions from, years down to months or even weeks. He's not just replacing the team, he's removing the friction that always slows a team down.
But speed without accuracy is worthless, especially in these high-stakes environments. And this velocity seems to be absolutely anchored in a mandate for perfection.
Yes, a mandate that really defines his whole architectural philosophy. The sources cite two non-negotiable guiding principles.
The first, as you mentioned, is the pursuit of verifiable DLR runtime errors in all solutions.
And that's not just a quality standard. For his clients, it's a mission-critical necessity. A single bug could lead to a systemic financial failure or, a military disaster.
To achieve that across thousands of complex interconnected systems, it has to imply an automated, almost axiomatic approach to testing and deployment validation.
And the second key mandate is that execution happens primarily in a WASM-sandboxed architecture. This is combined with an operational mandate of UVC reduction.
UVC, let's define that. Uncorruptible visibility control.
Right. So when we talk about reducing UVC, we're talking about minimizing the attack surface. It's about isolating the operational core of the system from any pathway that could be used for external corruption or some kind of visibility compromise.
So using WebAssembly already helps with that dramatically.
It's the foundation of it. This whole philosophy ensures that the system is not just fast, but functionally isolated from the, let's call it, the compromise reality of the traditional internet stack.
It sounds like the system is designed to reject compromise at the earliest possible stage.
Yeah.
Right at the execution level, rather than just relying on, building bigger and bigger walls around the perimeter.
Exactly. And that combination of speed and resilience is the perfect transition to the architecture itself.
Okay, we've established the speed. Let's explore the foundation of resilience, this Tier-0 Axiom. King's philosophy, it explicitly rejects what he calls Tier 1 fragility.
And he describes that quite provocatively as a system designed for compromise.
So what does that mean for you, the investor?
It means that if you're currently running conventional enterprise software, relying on OS patches, firewalls, complex monitoring systems, you are operating in a Tier 1 system.
A system that's built with the assumption that it will fail.
It's built with the implicit assumption that it will be compromised and it will require continuous, expensive, painful maintenance just to manage those expected failures.
Whereas the Tier 0 ambition is,
Yeah.
well, it's radical. The source says the code you cannot corrupt is here.
It's not about better security. It's a shift to architectural immunity. The goal is to minimize the need for that multi-million-dollar maintenance and patch cycle. That's a direct, massive operational cost saving.
And the technological vehicle for this immunity is WebAssembly. or WASM.
Right. WASM lets code that's been compiled from extremely robust languages like Rust or C++ab run inside a secure, sealed container, a sandbox. And that sandbox has minimal interaction with the host operating system.
Okay, for the investor, let's use an analogy. Think of WASM as building a nuclear submarine.
I like this.
If you build your entire system on fragile Tier 1 code, you're just hoping the enemy doesn't breach the outer hull.
But if you build it using WASM, you're executing your core command logic inside a secure, sealed, pressurized compartment within the submarine.
So even if the hull is breached, the core logic stays isolated and verifiable. It keeps running as intended.
That sandboxing is the final firewall. And when you pair that secure environment with the mandate for verifiable zero runtime errors,
Meaning the code mathematically executes exactly as intended.
you eliminate entire classes of vulnerabilities, all the ones that rely on crashing or confusing a program to seize control. The philosophical stance becomes a technical reality. Security is achieved when the code is mathematically uncorruptible.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a second. This is a common concern I hear from investors. WASM is often associated with a performance trade-off, or it's seen as niche. Is this architectural choice really scalable for the kind of high-velocity global clientele he's targeting?
That's a necessary and critical question. And while, yes, WASM has historically had a bit of a niche reputation, the sources indicate that King is focusing on highly specialized mission-critical logic, not mass market web deployment.
So for these hypersensitive environments, financial systems, military command and control.
Exactly. In those environments, the negligible performance overhead of sandboxing is just dwarfed by the absolute requirement for operational integrity. Plus, modern WASM is achieving near-native execution speeds, so the trade-off is becoming almost moot for these logic-heavy, high-security applications. It's the perfect foundation for what he calls sovereign systems.
And this foundational security, it leads us directly into the highest level security context he's operating in, post-quantum epistemics.
And this is where we move past current threats and into what you could call catastrophic, systemic future threats.
The sources repeatedly reference things like the post-quantum cryptography glossary and the development of this crucial post-quantum neural identity doctrine.
Okay, to understand this, we first have to define epistemology. It's a branch of philosophy. It's the study of knowledge itself, how we know what is true.
So post-quantum epistemics. This isn't just about switching to quantum-resistant encryption algorithms, or PQC.
Not at all. It's about recognizing that when a functional, large-scale quantum computer arrives, it won't just break our current encryption.
It will fundamentally disrupt our ability to verify any signal.
Exactly. How do you trust the identity of a speaker on a secure line? The veracity of a financial transaction? The timestamp on a command? How do you trust any of that when the cryptographic anchors of reality have been shattered?
So the doctrine King is building, this post-quantum neural identity doctrine, is about creating entirely new, hyper-resilient AI-based identity frameworks.
Frameworks that are axiomatically anchored in that Tier-0 architecture we talked about. These systems are designed to confirm a user's intent and identity using high-assurance mathematical proofs, not keys that can be broken.
The stakes are sovereignty over truth itself.
Literally. And we see specific projects that confirm he is actively simulating these failure states, something called the Hyperaxiomatic Quantum Cryptographic Subversion Emulation, or HQCSE.
So he's not just researching this passively. He's proactively building and testing doctrine to address these global systemic breakdowns. He's future-proofing.
And this high-security, hyperaxiomatic architecture is just perfectly aligned with his stated clientele. Military, G7, NATO, and private banks.
Right. These are the entities that cannot survive the latency or the fragility of Tier 1 systems. They require resilience against nation-state level threats and the anticipated collapse of current encryption standards.
The DCSA white paper, which is mentioned in the sources, that's Digital Control Systems Architecture, it just reinforces this point. When you're selling verifiable solutions for command and control systems and high-value financial infrastructure, you're not selling software. You're selling the ultimate insurance policy against catastrophic, multi-decade failure.
So this solo R&D engine isn't just a good investment. For these clients, he's a strategic asset for national-level resilience. But this level of architectural genius is really only half the story.
That's right.
The true, unparalleled leverage for you, the investor, comes from King's cross-domain fluency. The reason he replaces that multi-million-dollar team is his ability to operate simultaneously and seamlessly across AI, cyber, quantum, geopolitics, and finance.
He compresses 5 or 6 different specialities into one sovereign mind.
And the R&D portfolio just confirms this compression. He moves fluidly from, say, tactical cyber defense protocols to simulations of global systemic conflict over causality itself.
It's an astonishing breadth. Let's break it down, starting with his mastery of tactical cyber.
His authority here seems to be established through this comprehensive document he authored, Adversary Emulation, a tactical and strategic approach to simulating advanced cyber threat actors.
And this is essentially the blueprint. It's a guide for creating autonomous systems that are capable of testing your defenses against the most sophisticated, patient, nation-state actors.
APTs. So the core value here is that emulation goes far beyond just, standard vulnerability scanning.
Oh, miles beyond. It mimics the full behavior of a threat actor, their objectives, their specific toolkit, their step-by-step procedures. And this methodology is built on the classic blueprint of an attack: tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTPs.
Okay, let's break that down for the audience. So tactics, that's the high-level goal, the why.
Like steal intellectual property or disrupt critical infrastructure.
Techniques are the standardized methods, the how. Like using a specific known vulnerability to get initial access.
But the procedures are the most critical part. That's the what in action. They are the unique step-by-step scripts of a specific nation-state actor. The precise timing they use, the specific command and control channel they favor to exfiltrate data.
So by codifying and simulating real-world TTPs, he's creating a defense that tests the resilience of a system against a real human intelligence-driven adversary, not just a generic script.
Exactly. And the sources detail a project called Attack 0x7F, which executes what he calls the total IRAT in CK emulation. This covers all 14 recognized tactics from the initial reconnaissance
all the way through to the final impact on the target organization. So he's built tools to simulate every single phase.
Every phase. Phishing, defense evasion, credential access, lateral movement, command and control, exfiltration, the whole chain.
Simulating all 14 tactics requires both deep defensive knowledge and the ability to code high-fidelity offensive tools. This is what really stress tests every layer of a modern enterprise defense stack.
And it identifies the systemic failures that siloed teams they inevitably miss.
The portfolio shows he's using industry standards like Caldera and Atomic Red Team. But here's the crucial part. It also points to the development of internal high-security operations manuals used for national defense clients.
Specifically, the Jerking Third Cyber Operations Manual and this project called Underworld Hades, which is explicitly linked to CANSOFCOM Special Operations.
And Underworld Hades is described as a Tier 1 multi-domain autonomous adversary emulation project.
This places his solo output in the absolute upper echelons of national security R&D. He is building autonomous resilience simulations for the most sensitive operations in the country.
So the investor takeaway here is crystal clear. This solo architect is developing solutions for clients who absolutely cannot afford system failure. It validates all the Tier-0 resilience claims we've been talking about.
And from there, we now enter the highest level R&D. This is the domain of strategic foresight and systemic risk modeling.
The G7 versus BRICS simulation series. This is foundational evidence that his RNG output models not just code, but geopolitical systemic risk and conflict over the very fabric of reality.
It is a massive conceptual leap. Let's really take the time to break these simulations down.
Okay, first up, G7 versus BRICS network segmentation warfare. This sounds like it models how global powers can weaponize the logical segmentation of the global internet and, I assume, financial channels.
That's it, exactly. The simulation contrasts the G7, which it models as a distributed federalist mesh, with the BRICS nations modeled as a centralized monolithic stack.
So the G7 relies on legalistic, segmented governance.
Right, lots of different rules and jurisdictions. BRICS, on the other hand, relies on centrally controlled infrastructure. And the data from the simulation was fascinating. It showed BRICS achieving a higher global packet inference accuracy.
By how much?
92.1% versus 89.4%. And the reason is because their centralized approach allows their AI systems, one is mentioned, GPT-X-B3, to meta-route and correlate information across national backbones without local compliance friction.
And here's the critical insight from the source. Law becomes packet lag.
Yes. The G7's strength, its distributed legal modularity, becomes a weakness. It creates compliance latency that slows down its AI's ability to correlate signals in real time.
So the BRICS AI models, which are constrained less by internal regulatory feedback, they achieve a significantly lower cognitive AI error propagation rate. The numbers were 0.3% versus 2.6% for the G7.
The simulation basically proves that segmentation is now a weapon. It's used to determine what a signal is allowed to be, and that lag is a catastrophic financial and military vulnerability.
Okay, next simulation, the temporal sovereignty simulation.
This is where it gets really abstract but incredibly important. The doctrine here is that modern conflict occurs on time, not in time. It's about adversarial control of perceived causality.
So controlling the starting gun, who acted first?
Precisely. The sources detail 3 vectors they simulated. First, event retcon compression, ERC. This is where the simulation shows an adversarial AI launching a retroactive narrative that preceded the real event by 3.7 minutes.
Wait, it changes the past.
It changes the perception of the past, which in the signal space is the same thing. Then there's a neural dilation cascade, NDC, where G7 launched synthetic attention overload packets to destabilize the enemy's time memory coherence.
And the most shocking one, the causal realignment payload, CRP.
Where an AI agent successfully rewrote the order of actual global kinetic events within the simulation's log.
The outcome.
The outcome was that BRICS achieved a political reality overwrite rate of 41.2% compared to G7's 14.6%.
And the analysis states, temporal reordering is now a form of military exoneration engineering.
For you, the investor, this means that speed is now the only defense against this kind of narrative manipulation. In high-frequency trading, in political crises, if your adversary can make the world believe they acted first, they dictate the entire legal and financial fallout.
This is why solo high-velocity R&D is an existential necessity. It's the only way to get the sub-second causality you need for what he calls signal sovereignty.
It is profound. And finally, the last one, the quantum circuit entropy warfare simulation.
This moves beyond just data integrity to the fundamental physics of information disorder.
They're simulating how to introduce chaos into the enemy's automated decision systems. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of uncertainty. The simulation models the manipulation of quantum superpositional entropy states to influence decision-theoretic coherence in AI-enabled command systems.
Okay, in layman's terms, you are making the enemy's AI uncertain of its own reality.
You're flooding it with doubt at a quantum level. The high entropy flux increases the target node's decision coherence decay by over 100%.
So if an AI command system can't trust its own input data, if the quantum state of that data is constantly being shifted toward disorder,
it stalls. Or even worse, it makes erratic, catastrophic decisions. Mastery over entropy is mastery over certainty, and certainty is the currency of command and financial stability.
And the natural progression from all this complexity is the need for what the sources call sovereign AI concepts.
Yes, they discuss this theoretical future where only AI-trained judges or LLM prosecutorial circuits can possibly match the signal speeds required to adjudicate reality. This leads to the necessity of a sovereign AI synthesis to prevent that latency gap from being exploited by adversaries who control time.
This deep strategic vision is, of course, structurally supported by equally complex R&D in core AI architecture.
Which brings us back to those 2,322 GPTs. It justifies the volume. We see projects aimed at achieving maximum reliability and systemic verification.
Let's dive into 2 highly technical concepts cited in the sources. First, neural circuit compilation via topological quantum field simulation, TQFS.
Right.
And second, homotopy type theory for self-rewriting neural programs, HONTTNP. These are not your standard data science papers.
Absolutely not. TQFS suggests using principles from physics and topology to define the structure of neural networks. So instead of an LLM being this nebulous, opaque black box, the architect aims to define its components based on robust mathematical invariance, building reliability from the ground up, much like how physicists define matter.
And HOTTNP, homotopy type theory for self-rewriting neural programs. That sounds even more radical.
It is. Think of it this way. LLMs are notoriously prone to drifting, to hallucinating, to internal inconsistencies. HOTT is a mathematical framework that allows code to prove its own internal consistency and correctness at the moment it executes.
It's the code doing its own mathematically verifiable homework as it runs.
And for you, the investor, this links directly back to that zero runtime error mandate. You're investing in a system that can theoretically guarantee its own coherency even as it updates itself.
Which drastically cuts down on the catastrophic failure risk and the endless maintenance cycles that come with traditional fragile LLM deployments. It's insurance baked right into the architecture.
This research culminates in the simulated Eclipse AI oversight entity. The entity is described as a real-time fusion system that evolves beyond, and I quote, Skynet-level cognition.
It's designed to assess data, interpolate legal boundaries, and fuse vertical and horizontal SIGINT telemetry all in real time.
The Eclipse model is the technical realization of that sovereign AI concept. The simulation highlights the feasibility of these real-time, legally programmable oversight structures that can match adversarial speed.
The source does note that implementing the required legal override heuristics is currently illegal in G7 frameworks, but the architecture is ready.
He is building the necessary technological foundation for the post-human intelligence era.
And finally, the practical application of all this AI research is demonstrated in the specialized Guardian AI suites.
Right, these are targeted, high-fidelity AI agents designed to combat specific, persistent enterprise threats. Anti-ARET, anti-worm, anti-botnet, anti-ransomware, and anti-insider threat. Not broad, generic defenses.
Which brings us to the financial productization.
Exactly. The true proof of the investor value proposition isn't the theory. It's how quickly this deep, cross-domain expertise is packaged into immediately monetizable assets.
He converts his solo R&D velocity into products and services with explicitly high, often one-time price tags.
This is the ROI model laid bare. The direct AI product datasets are a perfect example of this knowledge compression.
These aren't just raw data. They're high-fidelity JSON training datasets for specific, highly regulated or high-value verticals. They provide encoded, curated expertise.
We see premium offerings like the Underwriter AI dataset, which is premium training data for Canadian and American financial institutions, the IT Project Manager AI dataset, and the crucial FinTrack Investigator AI dataset.
These are datasets designed to train LLMs to perform complex, regulated jobs that usually take human experts decades to master.
You're buying decades of codified expertise in a single JSON file.
And the pricing is the signal. The advertised prices for some of these services. They just underscore the market's willingness to pay a huge premium to bypass slow, high-burn R&D.
The service to replace your business development manager is advertised as a $120,000 CAD AI training dataset.
Other examples include PowerShell automation for IT management at $200,000 CAD, and natural language processing solutions for $250,000.
Now, compare those prices to the annual salary burn. You're paying a high one-time fee, a capital expense, for a system that provides the perpetual, high-quality, zero-error output of an elite full-time team member.
And you're eliminating the continuous $150 K annual salary, the benefits, the management overhead, and the risk of that key employee leaving.
It's an investment in perpetual operational capability.
This high-leverage model extends directly to his automation and infrastructure solutions, which again just validates that solo engineering team comparison.
Products like the Enterprise PowerShell Suite and Black Box Scripting reduce the need for large, costly, and error-prone human IT administration teams.
But nothing screams high leverage quite like the advertised price for the ultimate Bash Mastery package.
At $700,000.
So who pays $700,000 for a collection of Bash scripts?
Institutions whose entire infrastructure backbone runs on Linux or UNAX, whose operational integrity relies on flawless, enterprise-grade automation that drastically reduces human maintenance costs and operational risk.
So that $700,000 product, it might replace $1.5 million in 3 years of DevOps salaries and eliminate thousands of man-hours in maintenance and debugging.
That's the math.
And this specialization is further refined by a deep vertical expertise in high-stakes financial crime. The sources confirm an extensive focus on the internal vulnerabilities of subprime lending.
And he details the specific issues: predatory lending, NSF scams, contract forgery, collusion with dealerships. This is not abstract coding. This is forensic systems architecture.
We see projects like Operation Blue Phoenix, CliCamel interdiction. This suggests deep technical investigation into how these financial systems are exploited and, more importantly, how to build hyper-resilient interdiction mechanisms.
The goal is to build an AI that understands institutional weakness better than the criminals who are trying to exploit it.
And this expertise is codified and productized into essential resources like the automated AI agents and digital twins manual financial crime investigation manual.
The detailed breakdown of techniques in there, like how lenders can trick Canadian buyers through unauthorized credit checks and contract forgery, it just shows a full spectrum understanding of the entire attack surface. From the technical vulnerabilities to the human operational risk, it delivers comprehensive due diligence in a single deployable asset.
Okay, so let's synthesize all of this. What is the core investor takeaway?
The investment target, Gerard King, offers an unprecedented ROI profile, and it's based on 3 pillars.
Pillar 1, extreme velocity. Those 2,322 GPTs built solo.
And Pillar 2, an uncorruptible Tier-0 security foundation. That's the WebAssembly and the zero error mandate.
And Pillar 3, massive cross-domain strategic foresight, the quantum and temporal warfare modeling.
He dramatically compresses R&D cycles that would typically consume that $2 to $4 million in annual salary burn. And he delivers mission-critical, high-assurance products to markets that demand nothing less than Tier-0 security.
So he's not just an engineer. He is a strategic risk mitigation tool, capable of generating outsized returns by being fundamentally faster, cheaper, and architecturally more resilient than any conventional team could ever be.
And the sources. They offer a pretty chilling conclusion about the future of sovereign R&D. It's one that should dictate the investment strategies of every entity concerned with long-term survival. They state, signal sovereignty is now a form of time manipulation. Whoever routes inference fastest controls the epistemology of truth.
This solo architect is effectively building the next generation of truth anchoring systems. And he's doing it by achieving a velocity that allows him to preempt the manipulation of causality itself.
His speed advantage isn't a luxury. It's a prerequisite for operational survival in a world that's going to be defined by quantum and temporal warfare.
This solo R&D engine, it suggests that future sovereign technological advantage won't be held by massive, slow bureaucracies,
but by uniquely leveraged independent architects who can compress domain expertise across these highly complex fields. His ability to simulate and preempt systemic risk before traditional organizations can even recognize the threat. That is the ultimate value proposition.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you, the listener. We've seen how a single architect can simulate the complete disintegration of shared reality using LLMs trained on ideological segmentation and chronological manipulation. If speed truly is sovereignty, what is the cost of latency in your current R&D pipeline?
The source material offers this ultimate warning. It's one that dictates the required velocity for all future innovation. The first sovereign to anchor AI to a mutable yet consensual time state will win all future wars.
Are you investing in velocity that can keep pace with the architecture of time?
Something to mull over until our next deep dive.
We'll see you next time.